Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to a webinar from Linköping University. Today we're going to talk a bit about what it's like to study an engineering program at LIU, as we call Linköping University. My name is Therese Winder, I'm a communications officer, and I'm here with two guests. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, my name is Rana and I'm from Egypt. I'm studying here aeronautical engineering master program in my second year.
Thank you.
Yes, and I'm Simon Schutte. I'm an associate professor at the division of engineering. And if you get here, you will meet me eventually.
Yeah, and you're going to tell us a lot more about what to expect from the academic side and the professor side.
But I've been an exchange student as well.
So yeah,
many years ago.
Yep.
So you see, this can happen if you get here.
Yeah, exactly. You never get away. Well, we're going to talk about why you should study engineering at LIU. We're going to do an overview of how to apply and what it's like to be here, which you're both given, outside perspective on. This webinar is being recorded. Please put your questions to us in the Q&A section. The chat function you can use to say hi to each other. Where you're from and so on. And if you have any questions if you're watching this recording, you can still ask questions in the Q&A and they'll be forwarded to us. You can also just hit reply on an email that you've received from us, for example. So before we talk about engineering, I'm going to just really briefly go through a few slides to just give you a reminder of who we are. So if we can put the slide up, please. So, Linköping University. We're a full university, which means we have both education and research. Established in 1975, so a young university, known for innovative educational programs. We were the first to have industrial engineering and management, so combining two areas. You can also see this in our boundary crossing research. We're quite a large university with 37,500 students. 2,000 are international, and a whole bunch of employees looking after our students. So, where are we? Next slide, please, and you can actually see where we are. There you go. Sweden, as you know, hopefully you know, is in Northern Europe, and we've got two main cities. So we've got Linköping, which is where the majority of our programs are offered, and we've also got Norrköping. So Valla Linköping is the biggest campus, and that's where the studio is at right now. University Hospital is in town. It's also here in Linköping, and then there's Norrköping, which has a few of our engineering programs as well. It's about 200 kilometers south of Stockholm. To Linköping. Norrköping is a bit closer, but it's really easy to get to. Get the train, or you get the train down to Copenhagen, and you can also fly from Linköping to Amsterdam. So next slide, please. Right. A lot of our engineering programs rank really highly. If you look at the Shanghai ranking, you see telecoms, electrical, electronic, materials science, and energy. We're in the top 100 of young universities as well, with us not being 50 yet. And then another slide, please. There's also a huge variety of student associations. Rana will tell you a bit more about the student life later. Are you in one of these? In any of these?
Actually, I'm starting one.
Yeah, you're starting your own?
Yeah, it's called Proof, but not one of these.
Okay,
but just aeronautical. So
yeah, so if you don't see anything, that's already there that tickles your fancy, you can start your own.
Exactly.
But there's a lot to do. And then the final slide before we move on to actually talking to the interesting guests. These are the engineering programs that we offer. Rana, aeronautical. You teach in both mechanical and
aeronautical engineering.
Aeronautical engineering.
Both of those students I have in my courses, yes.
Okay. Are you not?
Well, sustainable engineering as well. A few of them at least.
Okay, but not industrial engineering and management.
No.
No. But so you see, these are. You'll tell us a bit more about the kind of breadth, I think, later that we offer. But these are the various engineering programs, and what's really important when you look at these is look at the specific requirements. They'll all have, a requirement of having done a bachelor in engineering, but then they might have different specific requirements, different courses, certain courses that you need to have completed to be able to be admitted. Yeah. Right. Enough with the intro. Tell us a bit more about yourself. So, do you want to start? Why did you choose Linköping University?
Yes, because mainly I was studying aerospace engineering before I come here, and I know that this is a city called the capital of aviation in Europe, and I was like, oh, what is that? And then it's here, Linköping, and it has like a lot of bunch of amazing aerospace companies and opportunities. So I was like, okay, I want to go to a certain place that has a lot of opportunities for me. Like, you know, I can just go out there and work anything, and I have a place to grow. So I started to put like Linköping in my mind, and then Sweden also was one of my favorite like countries before I even come and see the coldness and darkness. But like, it's still okay.
We don't talk about that until people have already,
It's amazing. It's
arrived
amazing.
here. It's cozy.
Yeah, like so much. But yeah, like
You make that feel really bad. I mean, it's very cozy when you have a fire going on. And
Exactly.
It's
That's true.
dark outside
the
and you have
coffee.
snow like now.
Yeah,
So it's-
yeah, and candles and
yeah,
so,
like,
yeah, true.
everything starts to be perfect when it's kind of snowing. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and then like I see that okay, Sweden is a good opportunity for me, and I applied for a bunch of universities outside the world, like everywhere, and then I get accepted here, and I was like, okay, if I'm gonna choose a place, and I have for sure the pros and cons, it will be Sweden. So yeah, I chose the university here, and it was actually no regret like option for me. I was like, oh God, everything is perfect, and I come here and I found like, okay, I'm literally where I should be. So yeah, that's how I come. here.
Brilliant, brilliant.
It's stable.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And you've been here a few years. I mean, what's kind of made you stay working here?
Linköping always had the best opportunities. I came here in '98 for the first time, exchange student at the same thing. My intention was to stay here for just one term at that particular institute you're working with, probably agronomy, or not, hydraulics, for example, Flumes.
Flumes.
So those courses are outstanding, were outstanding back then, and I wanted to take one of those. That was the point. But that never worked out, so I stayed here all the time. I got my first job at Volvo in Gothenburg, but then Linköping always had the best opportunities. I did my PhD here eventually, and now I'm an associate professor. And I teach product development. I teach within the master's program, but also within the normal program within Sweden. And I think it's brilliant to be here because from my perspective, and I work with a lot of other universities in the world, Sweden is, or the Swedish students are the most versatile. You are challenged in different ways. You do projects, you work in groups together, which is probably not the easier thing when you get here the first time, but you learn so much and you take so much with you afterwards. Because in many other universities you're trained to work on your own, in order to be marked on this on your performance. But in reality, in work life, you will need basically working groups, and training this is something what Linköping University and Linköping students are really good in.
Kind of what you really will be expected to know once you start working.
Yes.
Yeah, because then it is still in teams. So how have you found it? I mean, transitioning from, you did your bachelor's in Egypt.
Yeah.
Was it a really different environment coming here?
Absolutely. Like it's a unique environment, like in terms of everything. Like my university back in Egypt was kind of like advanced, so I have like international like professors. So we were kind of like, learning and learning and learning. But here it's still learning, but at the same time you are not like, pressured. You also have a life. So it was like for me, wow, you can do both. You can have a life and even like studying and do a lot in your studies. So yeah, this was like my first shocking thing. I was like asking like, is that just an assignment? Really? Nothing else? I will not like just sleep here and do everything. So yeah, it was amazing that the university itself trying to push you to have a life, social life and work balancing before even you get outside to the work life. So yeah, it's something amazing. Like you find everyone just encouraging you like, okay, this is association doing something here and here and here. So just try to go out there and also do your assignment. So yeah, it's a good thing.
You're learning kind of the softer skills by doing that as well.
Yeah, exact.
Yeah.
Just to get on that, you have a life. The other day I had a student from abroad, and he came here in summer, and now he was supposed to do a little holiday in Lapland, and he came very is that really possible? Can I leave for a week? Of course you can. It's very much on your own accord how you treat, how to choose to learn. And many of those things which you have to learn are online, so you can do that on your own. And since you're working together in groups, often you can back up for each other.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
Yeah, no, very, very important that you learn not to work all around the clock. I mean, 40 hours a week and very effective.
Yeah.
It's you can even see if you would work more, you would probably not achieve more. You're just more tired. That's why I think you have a life. You can start a.
I think this is a very Swedish thing as well, the work-life balance and the emphasis on work-life balance and kind of taking a holistic approach to well-being, and you know you're part of you know society in a sense. But it's when you say you kind of this when you say yes you can go away. I think there's a lot of emphasis on your own responsibility.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what I've heard. So yeah, you're in a group, but you can't hide behind the groups.
Exactly.
I mean, how have you felt that? Because it's kind of this, you know, you having to be proactive, not necessarily being told this is exactly what you're doing.
Actually, like this kind of freedom makes you kind of responsible more. So it makes you, and also because everything here is more practical than just theoretical, so you are excited to learn and work actually. So I see like from my own experience and from my own circles that we are all like kind of excited about doing something. So like whenever even you have a group, you want to do it by yourself. So we learn, okay, like you have a responsibility and you also like want to learn or work with this thing. So you're just not obligated. You are excited to do it more. So yeah, it's more just like self-driven thing more than someone's okay, you have to work 1, 2, 3, 4.
You're kind of doing it. It's like a pride, kind of. You take pride in,
Yeah,
in your own achievements and what you do, what your contribution is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's even more. You take responsibility in your development, not only for that particular course, but also for the whole of your program.
Exactly.
I mean, each of our courses has a clear, defined goal, and it's basically your responsibility that you hit that. It's not the exam in the end that counts so much. It's mostly the knowledge which you produce in your head, and that's something we can't control. This is up to you to.
Yeah. A kind of a learning focus, kind of not necessarily the result that you produce in the exam, or this is what, but it's actually the important thing is getting to the knowledge that you then show that you have gained.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that also these courses which we're having, I don't know how that is in your home university, but what we try is to do basically to have all these learning opportunities within the course and not in the last week before the exam, which is very typical from, I don't know your university, but many other universities and many of you have told me that that is very different. That can be quite a challenging thing when you get here in the very first moment, and then I don't know, how did you experience that?
Yeah, like
was it hard?
No. Like I just found it like more amazing that you have like the chance to choose, and then you choose by yourself that okay, like no, I just wanna work on this because I really like learn now, not just as you mentioned like in the exam or something. And also like there is something here in the Swedish education, the feedback thing, that you always have a feedback. So like even if you don't study, you don't do anything, and then there's just like a project and you submit it, you will have a feedback, and then you will like, okay, this feedback needs me like to learn more about this thing. So it's like you just want to learn, and you will learn eventually at the end, but you will enjoy it more in the process. So you have like assignments, labs, anything that makes you learn step by step, not just one shot at the end. So yeah, like I think it was not that hard. It was just more like different. So it needs like just adaptation thing at the beginning, but then it like everyone will find it like at least like worthy, like to get into it.
And what do you expect? What do you expect of your students?
I expect them to be self-going and take your own responsibilities from the beginning. But of course, I see that when you're here the first week, and I know that from my own, you say it was not hard. For me, it was quite hard to do to achieve that. That you suddenly you got the book in English, read that.
Yeah.
Never read the book in English. so those things is, but I think when you say expect, try this. do your best in this case. And well, then we are here if you don't succeed. Then we are here, we are almost always online, not in the night obviously, but we use Teams, for example. There you can chat with us. And in that very moment I see that pop on my screen at my office, I can right away answer and so on. So we try to do this, but it's always required that you have thought through what is the problem, define the problem, and often on that way you already solve it, but if there is something left, then we help you. So how to say, we put you in the water, hope you can swim, but we don't let you drown.
Good. That's good. Yeah. Have you found this? I mean, this kind of open communication and lack of hierarchy with your teachers. I mean, that's a very Swedish thing.
Yeah, like when I come here first, I was like, okay, professor, and he was like, nah, just call me by my name. I was like, oh my God, I will never disrespect you, no, ever. And he was like, no, it's fine. So like, it took time, but then I learned that, okay, it's very fine that we are all at the same level, because as you mentioned, the way of communication, like whenever I just stuck with something, I go to any professor, I was like, okay, like I'm stuck with this thing, and they literally very, very, very happy to help, even if it's not something in their course, but they try to help you as much as they can. So I find that it's like not just like one way education, it's just like you can go also to them and ask them to help you, and they will help you like with a lot of pleasure. So I just like was, wow, that's amazing. This is how it works, to learn something, not just to get educated, but you just learn, you know.
Yeah.
What the worst thing is as a teacher in the course, if you have a quiet course. Nobody's asking.
Yeah.
You have no idea how they are doing. They have no idea what the problems are. You might be too low in level. You might be too high in level. You don't know what the problems is, and that's why we are really, really happy when you're getting it. Oh, didn't get that. Okay, that is not necessarily that it's students' fault. Maybe I was not good enough to explain the thing. Then I have to go in. Here's something. 2 or 3 were asking me that question. I have to explain that once again.
Exact.
But if I don't get any feedback, it's a problem.
Yeah.
I can't guess.
Yeah. So definitely, you know, this is something to bear in mind, that, you know, you are expected to ask questions. You are expected to challenge even, you know, and kind of, you know, you sure is that right? And I think with the group work and the seminars, students teach each other and.
Yeah, like in a very, very, very like high level. I mean, everyone, at least for my program in aeronautical, like they come from, for example, electronics, mechanics, mechatronics, and different like other engineering bachelor thing, and like everyone knows something. So when we just like sit and learn because of this like group work thing, everyone contributes in learning you something, and that's amazing because we have different perspectives for sure. We are all from different like countries, and this is the amazing thing about like international programs, that you will meet a lot of everywhere students. So they have different perspectives and insights and everything. So you just get thousands of solutions instead of one. So yeah, I love it so much. It's amazing.
That's good.
These will be your future network. I still have the contact with these people.
Wow.
I have friends all over the world just because of being an exchange student. Usually when you're in your own country, well,
cool.
you have friends, but they don't scatter that much.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's cool.
It's nice to have friends basically everywhere over the world.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's an international setting, and I think, you know, a lot of companies that you do end up working for, you know, it's globalized now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you will be expected to have some kind of intercultural skills, and I think this is what you really learn properly, not just from a textbook, but by actually, you know, these being your colleagues and your experience. Tell me a bit more about kind of our engineering programs and kind of connection with research or industry even. You said it's hands-on. I mean, is it?
Yeah. Like for me, like it was the most amazing thing here about like engineering in general and my program like specifically is the tools. I mean, like aerospace programs or field, you just like don't build aircraft in class, you just like say the theoretical stuff so everyone learn. But like here in the university, like surprisingly you have a lot of tools. You can just build an aircraft like digitally or something, and you just like, you can test it, you can analyze it, you can see the performance. And I was like, wow, I can do everything in the class in my chair. I was, wow, that's amazing. And this is actually almost in each course that I have taken here. There is always like an experimental part where you just like get hand-on work or learn by doing the thing, not just like reading it. So it's amazing. This is the most exquisite thing about Linköping that I love it so much.
Oh, brilliant! It sounds fun. It sounds like it's a lot more kind of you get your passion gets to shine in it instead of just sitting there kind of listening.
Exactly, we had like the second place in Brazilian competition last two from like the beginning of November because we have built an aircraft, me and other 4 in my team, and we just like built it in 1 month. However, all the teams there are just like 30, 40 members, and they built it in a whole year. And I was like, okay, guys, like one of the success steps was just that we have tools that help us to build the aircraft before building it. So we just like was testing, analyzing the aircraft and see the stability is not okay, balancing is not okay, and then we make like the best of the digital design, and then we build it, manufacture it, and then we float it. So it was.
I think this sounds really comforting and encouraging for a future passenger that the aircraft engineers are they've actually had the tools to kind of.
Airbus takes a little more than 1 year or month.
Yeah.
They take about 20 years.
It probably does. But
they're not as good as you, of course.
Thank you.
At least you have the kind of solid kind of knowledge when you get out there.
But I think there's one takeaway from there, what is very important, is that if you have a digital model in a computer, you're not ready. You have to put that in reality, you have to build things, and then you realize where the problems are.
Yeah.
Because even if you simulate something in the computer, that does not mean that it works right away. You have the things that material does stuck, or when it gets wet, you have this problem and so on. So all of our courses here are very much focusing on how can we make the thing work. Actually, the vision I'm in is called product realization, to make that a reality, make the product real. And you were mentioning the tools. We have a workshop.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that workshop in particular is the most unique workshop in the whole area, because there are a lot of machines, but the combination of the different machines, there is nothing else like that.
Yeah.
And you can do everything from water cutting to whatever, welding or whatever you need. And I think that is really the strength. Otherwise, you could do things online. But here, and this is the strength of a campus university. Here you can
It's the
do
tangible side,
exactly.
actually.
You can touch it. You can see the material, how that behaves, and so on.
Exactly.
What about connections to kind of research or industry? I mean, aerospace capital and everything. I mean, does that mean we have guests? I mean, now we're just talking aeronautical, but in general, kind of our engineering. Do we have?
Absolutely. We do that very early in the courses, that we have this project. When we're talking about group work, these are projects which are always connected to companies. They come with a real world problem. So just now I'm working with Logitech, for example, in Switzerland. They come with concrete problems of mechanical type. So how to design the switch in the mouse, for example. Or we were working Volvo, which quite close. Saab, which you probably is more close to what you do. But yeah, anyhow, we try to bring these companies in. They come and sponsor a problem, and then in the end, you already have this connection to the company. So when it comes to your master thesis, then it's very easy, basically, to get into the company, get the content. I'm just calling them, hey, we met at that course. I want to do a master thesis. And often you can do this. We also do that at our division, at least, that we have this company contact and say, well, we have these projects. What would you like to do? And these projects are not just something which you just develop. It's something which the company really has a need for, that you do something which is has a meaning to somebody, not just to put on your hard disk and get marked off.
So it's kind of real life kind of problems, and that society is facing, that we're looking at the. But this, so all this, I should mention, which I don't think I have, that all our engineering programs are 2-year programs. First semester tends to be mandatory, most programs, and then second and third you have a bit more electives. But the 4th semester is a thesis project, so that's the entire semester. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm actually having today like a meeting with my supervisor and examiner about my master's thesis, and I'm planning to do something that I really like, because I wanted to work something into material and into aerospace. So I wanted to gather something, and this is the amazing thing about Linköping. You can just like create your own opportunity, and people will help you. So like my supervisor were just so welcome, and they were like, okay, like let's cooperate with this company and let's do this and let's do. I was like, wow, people here help us so much. It's not just me outside. And yeah, like it's funny thing because also like my friends have a lot of opportunities in a lot of companies. So companies here offer a lot of learning, like somehow employment, like master thesis thing, and student just goes there and it's kind of also hand-in work in a real life environment. So it's also amazing, like people can just have it here in the university as a research with professors or just in a company, or as me, joint between a company and the university. So it's really amazing that you just have learned the theoretical part in the university, and now you are making your own project. So just like go for 5 months.
Yeah, so it gives you 6 months of really getting, you know, a foot in the real world, or, you know, whether that be a research world or industry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And once again, after just a couple of weeks, in that, you're much better than a supervisor.
Oh.
Yeah, no, you are, because you're much more in the details. And that's something, well, maybe even a little bit of risk, that if you got stuck, you have to get yourself out of course, with the help of the supervisor, but there is no given answer on the thing, which is much more like a real world problem. You get the real world problem, you get real world problems back.
Yeah, exactly. You have to solve them, the real world, you know, in the real world. So this is the brilliant side. But I think, you know, I'm going to actually give you a brief overview, because we're getting close to the half an hour that we have planned for this webinar, and then we'll open up for your questions. But before that, the workload, 40 hours you mentioned, is that kind of 8 till 5, Monday to Friday? Is it a lot of?
No, it's dependent on like your schedule first, and then how you manage your time. Like people just like are so fast with learning, some people, so they just come and chill between 12 to 4, and they go home, have like a lot of chilly time with friends and doing a lot of extra stuff. So yeah, it's just more about your schedule, like the lectures and labs that we have, and then just like the self-learning time. So yeah, I think we all have plenty of time also to, beside learning, to chill and have, you know, this work balance thing.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's not that stressed thing.
It's not complete, but you do have classes every day, so it's
kinda, yes.
Yeah, so you're
classes
on
and
campus.
labs and
Classes and
seminars
labs.
and different ways of learning.
Yeah.
We don't do Mondays at 8 o'clock.
No.
You don't like them?
I don't like it. No one likes
me
it.
not either.
Yeah.
So we
Just
don't
the
do
university.
that.
You don't know 8 o'clock lectures. Good. Let's have a quick overview of the application process. You see here a brief overview of how to apply and to get admitted. Do your research is kind of the most important part, whichever program you want to apply for. Check the specific requirements. If it, for example, says that you need maths and you need calculus and you need, you know, specific courses, and in your bachelor you, for example, did a maths 2 or maths 3 or whatever it was called, add a syllabus so that we know that you actually have done the right parts of, for example, maths. So have a look at the requirements, make sure that you actually meet them. For example, you know, if you're interested in sustainability engineering, but you don't have the right courses, there might be another sustainability course that's not necessarily engineering. So make sure that you actually do have the right background, you meet the specific requirements, then you apply at universityadmissions.sc. You do this before 15th of January. You can apply for up to 4 programs, and you have to order them in the order of priority. Then you have until the 1st of February to either pay your application fee, which is applicable to those from outside the EU. And if you're from the EU, you need to upload a copy of your passport so that we know that you're a European citizen. Also by the 1st of February is when you need to upload the documents that you need. So your transcript, your diploma, a language test if necessary, if you're from any country apart from pretty much the US, UK, Australia, New Zealand and maybe a couple more. So language test, syllabus, if your program has specific requirements. You submit this by the 1st of February. And then you wait. and you wait till the end of March at some point, and then the results will be out. And then if you're looking to apply for a scholarship, you have a few days to do so. But the scholarships are tuition fee waivers, partial tuition fee waivers. So they're only open to fee-paying students, which are the non-Europeans. And then you apply for you apply for a residence permit if you need one, which again is if you're from outside the EU. Pay the tuition fee, which you actually have to do before you apply for the residence permit. But when you get admitted, we send you lots of emails. We send you prompts. We basically tell you when you need to do certain things. But what you need to bear in mind now is 15th of January and 1st of February. And the next slide, please. It's just the final one. So just quickly, it's a national online application process. So you apply for both Linköping and any other universities. And those are the two deadlines. So online application, submitting documents, paying fee or documenting exempt status, which is a copy of your passport. And then the application will be assessed. So that's how you do it. We are going to open up for questions. So usually this is where we cut the webinar. So the recording. Oh, we got a funny noise going on. So the recording will be on our website. So for those of you who are watching the recording, thank you for having been with us. Connect with us on Instagram at linköping.university. Our students run it. You've been there, so you can see more of Rana. Also, International Students blog at liu.se. Again, you can read more from Rana.
Sure.
And other students as well. But you get the best tips and insights on what you need to do, what it's like to be here from our students. And you can ask questions. So to those of you watching the recording, thank you.